going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Well, welcome if it's your first time here. Guys, if you've been paying any attention, you know, when you go to the supermarket, when you go to the hardware store, when you go to the auto parts store, when you go anywhere to purchase pretty much anything, if you've been paying any attention, you compare those prices from what they were a few months ago, you'll notice that most items that you buy have increased in price. They've also, a lot of items has decreased in availability, and that is a great start to hyperinflation. You know, most nations, when their currency goes into hyperinflation status, it isn't overnight. It takes time, it's gradual. And right now, we're seeing inflation. You know, the prices are trickling up slowly. However, it's going to get much, much worse. And we're going to go into hyperinflation. Now, I can't set a date, an exact date to say hyperinflation will start at this date, because it usually doesn't work that way. It takes time, it snowballs over weeks and months until everyone looks around and next thing you know, a loaf of bread is $500 or more. Look at Zimbabwe. That's a great example of hyperinflation. Look at Venezuela, what happened there. And that's what we're heading to here in the United States. And right now, you know, we're having supply issues on certain items. Not every item, just like not every item is actually increasing in price greatly. Slightly, maybe, but not greatly. We see other things like, you know, lumber and plywood and things like that, building materials, and they have actually doubled and tripled the prices on those items has. Gasoline, you can look at the gasoline prices going up and up and up. And you know, when gasoline prices go up, then that cost of that gasoline to ship those items, to produce those items, is levied on the public, the customer. So the companies can keep their bottom line, keep making a profit, so the prices go up. Another issue that we've been seeing is because of this virus, that they've been throwing money into the system. And right now, I think it is, they've thrown in nearly $3 trillion into the system. And what I read here a few days ago, that they've increased the money supply by 40% over the course of the last 12 months. And right now, Biden is actually wanting to do another stimulus, this one for infrastructure, and that's going to be, I think it was like $3-point-something trillion, so that they keep having these stimulus. And they're not billions of dollars, they are trillions of dollars. And all that money is being just printed off and thrown into the system with all the rest of the currency that's in the system. So you have a massive supply of currency into the system, meaning that each dollar is valued at less. And people figure this out and start seeing what's going on, they're going to start valuing the dollar less. So everything we see now is leading into hyperinflation. It's a perfect storm for hyperinflation. I'm not an economist, but anyone with half a brain can see that when you have supply issues and you have demand for those supplies, and there's not enough to go around of certain items, and that's getting worse as time goes on. And when you have massive dumps of cash into the system, that equals out to hyperinflation. There's no way of getting around it, and they know it's coming, but they're just throwing it in the system as fast as they possibly can. However, guys, this video is about 10 items to purchase now, to stock up on before the hyperinflation hits. You can still find some items right now, but take advantage, because time is definitely narrowing to actually find what you need and to actually stockpile these things. Now, there's other things to stockpile, but these are some items that aren't on every list, or at least most of them aren't on every list, and hopefully they give you some ideas of what you need to get a hold of to stockpile. And the first thing is silver. You know, silver holds its value, like, for example, and if you don't have food storage already, then get that first. Get all your other survival necessities taken care of first, and then if you have anything left, if you can find any extra currency to invest in silver, like, say, for example, this last stimulus check of $1,400 that a lot of people has gotten. I haven't gotten one yet, But however, a lot of people has, you could have took that and invested that in, you know, silver, and get as much as you can that you can afford after you get your other survival supplies in order. You don't want to go out and just buy a bunch of silver because they say you can't eat that. However, you might need to buy something that you haven't stockpiled, something that you've forgotten. And also, you know, if you have silver, you can do that. And also, if you have some silver put back, then that will help you keep your wealth. If you have all your investments in cash, then when hyperinflation hits, that cash is going to be worth less and less. So, you know, if you have $1,000 in cash put back, that might not buy a loaf of bread and a soda pop. But however, if you have silver, you know, it will hold its value longer, and you'll have more of a insurance policy against that hyperinflation. And guys, next on this list is gold. Gold is more expensive than silver, of course, and most people will invest in more silver than they will gold. You can also, it doesn't have to be gold and silver coins, it can be gold and silver jewelry, you know, watches, necklaces, things like that. You can find a lot of these things, you know, at your local pawn shop. Just know what you're looking for, and don't buy something that isn't what you think it is. Be sure to know what you're looking for and go and invest in that. You know, you can take that paper currency that will soon be hyperinflated out of existence, and you can go buy gold and silver. You can also go down here in the first pinned comment to my video sponsors, and you'll see down there that JM Bullion is one of the sponsors of this channel. Go down there, click that link, and go see the current gold and silver prices. You can also buy silver, and they will ship that to you. I've used them before. They're a good company, and like I said though, get everything else in order first, and then you want to invest in gold and silver as a hedge, you know, against hyperinflation, because your dollars are going to be hyperinflated out of any value at all. You can have $25,000 put back under your mattress, and when hyperinflation hits, and it is going to hit, there's no doubt about it, it's going to hit, then that $25,000 is going to buy much, much less than it would a couple of years ago. Okay, next on this list is property. I know some of these are big ticket items, however, they are a hedge against hyperinflation. Property, if you can afford to buy some land out in the country, if you can afford to buy some land anywhere, that land will hold value, you know, better than that paper fiat currency. Plus, you can use that property to actually grow your own food, to homestead, to raise a garden, to plant apple trees, to have animals, to cut your own firewood. You can use that property for your benefit, you know, and that property will hold value better than cash, currency, paper, monopoly money that the government keeps throwing out there into the system. So if you can afford to buy property, it does have to be commercial property. It doesn't have to be the best property. You can find some property out in a rural location. You can usually get that land in my area here, raw land, if you can find it. It's getting harder to find right now because everybody is buying it up. Everybody's seeing what's coming and they're buying this property up. But usually around $5,000 an acre for this bare land with no home, no fencing, no infrastructure at all, just bare land, around $5,000 an acre. Sometimes you'll find it priced at higher prices than that because, you know, depending on the location, but most of the time $5,000 an acre. Other areas are no doubt different prices, but go out and look in your area or another area that you want to move to, find some land, buy that land, and that land will hold value even when the dollar is hyperinflated. You can use that land to produce the things you need to actually stay alive, you know, like a garden and firewood and things like that. And guys, next on this list is, of course, food storage. You're going to need to eat, and the price of food is going up. When hyperinflation hits, it's going to be bad. There's going to be a lot of people starving because people on a fixed income, people who aren't rich, who can't just go out and spend, you know, $100, $500 or whatever hyperinflates to on a can of canned food, canned beans or something. If you already buy that now while you can, before this major hyperinflation sets in, you can have a good stockpile. You can be eating a lot you can be eating and stay well fed on the prices that you get now versus what will be when hyperinflation hits. Food storage will be your #1 priority. We talked about this all the time on this channel. All prepper channels talk about food storage. Food storage is very important. Buy everything you can, try to get at least a 6-month supply, preferably a whole lot more than that, but at least 6 months to get you started. You know, you look at, like I said, Venezuela, and look at their collapse, currency collapse, and I'm not sure how long it's been going on, but it's been going on for a long time. But guys, be sure to stock up on as much food as you can possibly buy and have enough space to store. You know, you're limited by the space that you have to store this food. I mean, if you could afford to buy a 20-year supply of food, you might not be able to actually have a place to actually store that and to keep that rotated and everything. There's a limit on what you can put back, especially when it comes to like canned foods and things like that, because a lot of weight, take a lot of space. But buy as much food as you can, stockpile that back with as much as you possibly can and the space you have, because you're going to need it. And guys, next on this list is vegetable seeds. Stockpile vegetable seeds as much as you can. Look at what grows well in your area. If you haven't gardened yet, you need to start doing that. Start tilling up your yard. Start adding compost, start composting, start growing now. Don't think you can put back, you know, a seed vault, a survival seed vault, and think, if something happens, I'll just plant these seeds and just throw them out there and it's going to grow. It doesn't work that way. You have to work that soil, you have to build that soil up, you have to learn how to actually sprout, care for, grow, harvest those vegetables from your garden area. You can't expect to just throw those seeds out there and grow. However, you need the seeds to start. If you can get non-hybrid seeds, that's definitely better than the hybrid seeds. The hybrid seeds will grow good, but then the next year, when you try to grow back using those same seeds, you won't get the same results as you did the first year. If you get the non-hybrid type vegetable seeds, then you can save those seeds year after year, and each crop will be similar to the crop you grew before. And guys, next on this list is fuel. As you noticed, gasoline prices are going up. So stockpile, you know, diesel fuel, kerosene, gasoline. Try to get 100% gasoline because it stores better than, you know, the gasoline that has the ethanol. You can get stable to help stabilize that and to make that store a whole lot better and longer. But stockpile fuel, like I said, diesel, gasoline, kerosene, propane, because it's going up in price. Check your gas pumps. Look what the gas prices were 6 months ago, and then look at what the gas prices are now. It's going up, and I see probably by the middle of the summer, gas prices will reach $6, $7 a gallon, at least I think by the middle of summer. And guys, next on this list is hand tools. You know, saws, hand drills, different hand tools that you can do work with without using electricity, without making a lot of noise. Because you might be building something and you might not want to use, you know, your fuel to run your chainsaw. You might want to save that for some other purpose. You might not want to be running drills and things, power drills, because, you know, your power could go out. Power tools are great. I like power tools also, and you should have some of those, but try to find some good hand tools that you can use, you know, with your manual labor tools, saws, drills, rakes, shovels, garden tools. You can find a lot of these things, you know, at pawn shops. You can get these used. You can find a lot of these things at flea markets and things like that. You can get these used at really good prices. But try to get hand tools, the hand tools you need. You know, don't go overboard and buy things you don't need. But if it's a tool that you need, a tool that you don't have, then you want to buy that and put that back, make sure it's in good shape, good working order. Take care of that, because it'll be worth its weight in gold at some point. Because tools help you to be more self-reliant. And being self-reliant is the key to long-term survival. And guys, next on this list is firearms and ammunition. You know, right now, like I've said before, here in my area, firearms are plentiful. I can go up to the local sporting goods store and he has all kinds of Glocks, he has all kinds of AR-15s, he has all kinds of firearms. However, the ammunition is extremely low or non-existent for most calibers. So right now we're seeing a supply and demand issue with the ammunition, and in some areas with the actual firearms. So right now, when he does get anything in, I'm sure it's the same way in most other places, that when they get ammunition in, it is way more expensive now than what you could have bought that same ammo for just a few months ago. Demand, supply issues, price goes up. So if you can buy any, if you can find any, and you can afford it, get what you can. But you're not going to be able to buy, a whole big stockpile right now unless you're mega rich, because of the price increase, and the supply has went completely down the tubes right now. It's definitely hard to find. I told people to stockpile ammunition years ago, to stockpile, full capacity magazines years ago. Unfortunately, most people sat around with their thumb up their butt and didn't do anything, and right now they're suffering. A lot of people thought that the Donald Trump is in there, so everything is fine, everything's going to be okay. Nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. It's prosperity and happiness from now on. And now they see that it isn't the case. Things change. If you have time to prep during good times, you need to be doing that, because things change, things happen, things get worse. And if you had people had stocked up on ammunition, spare parts, full capacity magazines, firearms, back 3 or 4 years ago, when I was telling people to on my website, then those people had no issue right now. And the ammunition has increased so much in price, if they actually wanted to, I don't advise it, but if they wanted to, they could have took the ammunition that they had stockpiled at these prices and made a killing right now at the current prices. But people don't listen. People don't want to do nothing. People want to sit around and hope and think that's going to be okay because of some politician or something, and they won't do anything. Then when something does happen, they're all looking around, they're screaming, "Oh, what are we going to do?" But then it's too late. But anyway, guys, if you can find any full capacity magazines, firearms that you don't have what you need already, if you can find any ammunition, pick that up and buy that. Next on this list is a wood stove and firewood. Now, depending on where you live and what you live in, if you own the property, if you own the house, you're going to be able to use a wood stove. And that's very unfortunate, because a wood stove is one of the things that is you have more control of. You can go out and cut your own firewood. You can have your own heat without being dependent on an outside source to bring that in. So if you can, get a wood stove, put that in. It might cost some money to get your chimneys put in and things like that, to get your stove, a good quality wood stove, to get in that firewood. But it gives a really good security, and it gives a great feeling to know that in the dead middle of winter, if the power goes out, you have a backup. Or you can use that stove every winter as your main heating source, and you'll save money if you go out and get the wood yourself. It's a great investment and one that's recommended. If you can get a couple of years worth of firewood ahead, and how much you need will of course depend on your location. Here where I'm at, the winters aren't as long or aren't as brutal as they are somewhere like northern Idaho or something like that. So you'll need to figure out how much you need for the location you're in and stockpile that. Try to get at least a 2-year supply. That way you can use that 1 year, and then the next spring and summer you can be working and replacing that, and then use the other year and keep that going. We always have a couple of years supply on hand. Okay guys, next on this list is chainsaws. Try, if you can afford it, get 2 chainsaws. And my recommendation is to get 2 of the same identical kind and size of chainsaws. Personally, I like steel chainsaws. Some people like Husqvarna. Personally, I don't like Husqvarna. I like steel a whole lot better than Husqvarna. I've had a lot better luck out of steel chainsaws. Chainsaw is indispensable when it comes to being self-reliant and being able to heat your own home. You know how to use that chainsaw. You need to have safety gear when you're using that chainsaw to protect your hearing, to protect your legs from getting cut, protect your eyes. You need to put back some extra chains, some mixing oil, bar oil, and things like that. Keep that chainsaw running. But invest in a good chainsaw, preferably new chainsaws. You can buy these, depending on the size you get, for $300 on up. You can get smaller ones, but the smaller ones don't last as long generally as, you know, the larger saws. I like a medium-sized saw. You can get the huge, heavy timber saws that aren't really necessary for the homestead type use and cutting firewood and things. I like a mid-size steel chainsaw. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm going to create more out of here, and I'll see you guys next video, hopefully.